Hi there, I'm Master Blaster. I've been supporting since Season 1, and I've played many support champions, both meta and unorthodox. Morgana has emerged as by far my favorite support champion to play. Support Morgana benefits greatly from the new utility mastery tree. For this reason, it's ideal to go 0-9-21 to take full advantage of the end of the utility tree. I like to go fairly armor heavy on my support so I can trade well with their support in AD carry, while mine farms. I take flat armor reds and yellows, flat MR blues, and GP10 or HP quints depending on how scary the enemy bot lane's level 2 is. Usually versus a Leona or a Taric, or even a Thresh who look for a heavy engage at level 2, I choose HP over GP10 for added survivability. Season 4 changes allow for some champions that used to be exclusively played mid to fill the support role. With Season 4's influx of new support items and changes to masteries, a whole new pool of champions have become viable top-tier supports. Champions like Morgana and Annie are seen much more frequently supporting due to these changes in combination with their amazing utility. When played and built correctly, Morgana can be a force to be reckoned with. She has CC that rivals a Leona, with similar damage output of a mid laner, all the while fulfilling the tasks of a support. Once mastered, Morgana becomes a terror in the bot lane that will leave your opponents crying while their death timer ticks down. She scales very well into mid and late game, and has the potential to further an existing lead or bring a struggling team back into the game. Some favorable matchups for support Morgana include Alistar, Nunu, Blitzcrank, Leona, Taric, and Thresh for supports. And for AD carries, Morgana is extremely strong against champions who rely on damage through spells, especially when they scale with AP, such as Varus, Kog'Maw, and Tristana. These champions all have a spell or two that change the tide of bot lane with proper timing, and with the right reaction time and anticipation, you can prevent that from happening by landing a clutch spell shield. Some weak matchups include Janna, Zyra, and Sona due to their lack of spell animation windup and low cooldowns. Sivir, Corki, and Draven are strong picks against Morgana due to their ability to dodge her spells easily and a lack of AP scaling or status effect spells. Morgana complements almost every AD carry, but she is especially effective with Varus, Draven, Ezreal, and Vayne because of sheer lockdown or immense amounts of damage. Morgana's skill set is exceptional for its raw utility. She has CC, damage, and defensive abilities that can turn an ally's less than ideal engage into an ace for your team. Morgana's passive is decent for bot lane, as it grants Morgana passive scaling spell vamp. This allows Morgana to trade with spells and receive HP back for sustain. Her Q is a ranged skill shot that roots enemies, minions, or monsters on contact. This ability's root duration increases with level, and for this reason is generally my first skill to be fully leveled. A properly timed Q can set up a gank for a jungler, secure a kill for your AD carry, or stop a pursuing enemy just long enough for you and your teammates to escape. Morgana's W is an AoE damage over time spell that has seen some recent changes. Previously the skill reduced MR over time, but now that aspect of the ability has been removed, and the base damage increased with percent missing HP, which is a net gain to her damage. I generally level this skill last on support Morgana because it tends to cause unwanted lane pushing and overall brings less utility to the team than her other spells. Her E is a spell shield which blocks all spells cast against the wearer and lasts for a short duration that is constant across the skill's level. However, leveling this ability reduces the cooldown and increases damage absorbed, and for this reason it is the second skill I max. Morgana's ultimate is an AoE tether that becomes a stun to enemies within a short radius. The nature of this ability requires optimal timing and positioning. With patience and a well-placed flash, this ability can change the tide of a game. For obvious reasons, this ability is leveled at 6, 11, and 16. It is important to note that the skill order is for a typical game in which your lane is winning or going even, and there are no huge CC threats from the enemy bot lane or jungler. When facing someone such as a Thresh, a Leona, or an Amumu, it can be beneficial to max E first as it reduces the cooldown and increases the damage absorbed, giving you the ability to protect yourself and your AD carry when caught out of position. Item builds on supports are very situational. There's usually only one or two items you must build as a support, and the rest are reactionary choices to the enemy team comp and the overall status of the game. Morgana's starting item is dependent on who you're laning against. If I'm facing a Caitlyn or an Annie, I like to start Doran's Shield to help mitigate the inevitable damage from their extremely long auto-attack range. If I'm laning with a late game or passive carry like Kog'Maw, I like to start Ancient Coin so I can accumulate more gold and build for team fights, since the final upgrade into Talisman complements your ult and gives your team mobility to chase and escape. In a lane that is probably going to go even and a team that looks to win mid-game, I suggest Spell Thief's Edge. It gives good gold, and its upgrade form, Frost Queen's Claim, gives you AP, CDR, mana regen, and a range slow, all of which can be used to enhance the effectiveness of your ultimate and your overall chase potential. Your other items should be Sightstone and Zhonya's Hourglass or Rod of Ages, depending on your preference and the enemy team. Any boot but Swiftness and Berserker's Greaves are quite good on Morgana, and again comes down to personal preference, the current game climate, and the enemy team comp. Your final two items are up to you. I generally go tanky with a Randuin's Omen and a Banshee's Veil to survive teamfights and lock enemies down, but building further AP items can also yield positive results. Alternatively, you can build Mikhail's Crucible as an effective countermeasure to an enemy team that has a lot of CC aimed at your back line. The mana regen is always beneficial to Morgana, and the magic resist is effective when they have 2 or more APs on their team. It's important to remember to exchange your warding trinket for a sweeping trinket at level 9, so you can assist your jungler in clearing wards from objectives in high traffic areas. Since the 3 ward per person limit has come into effect, having both a Sightstone and a warding trinket is generally a wasted trinket slot after level 9. Once you apply these tools, dominating with Morgana simply comes down to becoming a confident Morgana player. Practice her until you get a feel for her damage, cooldowns, and mobility, and then begin your path of destruction, carrying from the support position. I hope you find this guide helpful, and be sure to check out other awesome guides at learntoleague.com.